The streets were damp with rain when Jack Hollis passed the war memorial. The stone faces and brass names seemed to watch him in the dark, their silence louder than any siren. Jack, 46, a single dad of 2 and a former EMT, had just left his overnight shift at the local hospital. The world felt a little heavier lately. Holidays always did since Rachel died. But that night, something strange hung in the air. Not the kind of strangeness that draws fear, but the kind that begs you to listen. Before we begin this unforgettable story of war, regret, and redemption, if you believe that even the smallest acts of kindness can change the course of someone's life, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to True Soul Stories. These stories help heal hearts and connect us across every distance. Your support makes that possible. Now, let the story begin. He took the long way home through Millbridge Park, past benches dusted with wet leaves and a playground deserted under flickering lights. The drizzle turned to mist, and then he heard it. "I failed you, Mom." The words came like a cracked whisper, brittle and raw. Jack froze. The voice belonged to a woman, close but just out of sight. He turned slowly toward a bench near the rusted merry-go-round. There she sat, a young woman in her late 20s, hunched forward, arms wrapped tight around herself. She wore a military jacket soaked to the bone, her boots caked with mud, her shoulders trembling beneath the weight of the night. Jack didn't know what made him move. Maybe instinct, maybe ghosts, but he stepped forward and spoke gently, as if approaching someone on the verge of vanishing. She looked up. Her face was pale, her eyes sunken with exhaustion, but what struck Jack most was the pain. Not the kind you scream about, the kind you wear. She didn't resist when he offered his coat. She didn't protest when he led her to the car. She only spoke once more, just as he started the engine. "Please don't make me go back." He didn't ask where she meant. He just drove. Back at his house, a quiet home tucked beside pine trees and stone fences, Jack helped the woman into the guest room. His youngest daughter, Ellie, 8, peeked from her bedroom door but said nothing. She'd learned not to fear quiet strangers. She had once been one. The woman slept through the night. When she woke, she ate 3 slices of toast in silence, then finally told Jack her name. Riley Sutton, 29, former military intelligence. Discharged 6 months ago. No home address, no family to call, no mission left. Jack didn't push. He didn't judge. Instead, he offered her a place to stay at least for a few days. The house had plenty of room. His oldest, Jordan, had moved out. Ellie spent most days at school or drawing by the window. And Jack, he just needed to feel useful again. The days passed with a rhythm Riley hadn't felt in years. She helped around the house, cooked sometimes, walked Ellie to school. Jack noticed how she flinched at loud noises, how she always sat facing the door, how she jumped when the dog barked. But she was kind, quiet, thoughtful. And when she thought no one was watching, she cried. One night, while Jack folded laundry, Riley stood in the hallway, holding a small box. She looked like someone holding a bomb. "This was my mom's," she said. "It's all I have left of her. I kept it locked until now. But I think I need to show someone." Inside the box were letters, dozens, all addressed to Mom. None had ever been sent. Jack read a few, each one a journal entry, a confession, a plea. Riley had written them during deployment, after each mission, after each loss. Her mother had died while she was overseas. Heart failure. No warning. No goodbye. Riley blamed herself. She had missed the funeral, missed the final call. And though her mom had always told her she was proud, Riley never believed it. Not really, because she hadn't been there at the end. Jack listened. Then he told her something she didn't expect. That his wife Rachel had died in his arms. That he had been there, and it still hadn't felt like enough. They sat in silence, wrapped in mutual grief. Days turned to weeks. Riley grew closer to Ellie, helped her build a snow fort, painted with her on rainy days. Jack found himself looking forward to her laughter. It was rare, but when it came, it sounded like hope. Then the letter arrived, addressed to Riley. No return label. She opened it in the kitchen, hands trembling. Jack watched her face shift from confusion to horror to disbelief. "What is it?" he asked. Riley read the note aloud. "You don't know the full truth. Your mother kept secrets. Start with the photo in the bottom of the box." She ran to the guest room, tore open the box, pulled out the lining. There, tucked beneath faded postcards and worn letters, was a photo. Riley as a baby, her mother, and another woman, the same eyes, the same smile. On the back, written in her mother's careful script, "Sisters, both mine. One never knew." Riley collapsed into the chair. Jack sat beside her, heart pounding. "I have a sister," she whispered, "and I think it's not who I thought." The room spun. Questions flooded. Who was the woman in the photo? Where was she now? Why had her mother kept this secret? Jack reached for her hand. "We'll find her," he said, but Riley didn't respond. Because at that very moment, outside, a black car pulled up to the curb. Inside sat a woman, dark hair, familiar eyes, and she was staring straight at the window. The woman in the black car didn't knock. She didn't move. She just sat behind the wheel, staring at the window like she'd been searching for that exact house. Riley froze, one hand on the windowsill, her breath catching as if the sight had pulled a string inside her chest too tight to release. Jack stepped up beside her, his hand resting lightly on her back. "Do you recognize her?" he asked. Riley nodded slowly. "She looks like my mother. Or, like I used to." They watched the car for a long moment before Riley moved. She walked to the front door and opened it without hesitation, stepping out into the cold air. The woman got out of the car in sync, like she had been waiting for that exact moment. She wore a simple black coat and jeans. Her hair, pulled back tightly, framed a face so familiar it made Riley's knees wobble. They were nearly the same height, their eyes mirror images. "I'm Hannah," the woman said. "I think I'm your sister." Riley's hands trembled. She looked over her shoulder. Jack had come to the porch but stayed back. She turned to Hannah again. "Come inside," Riley said. They sat in the living room, the fireplace casting flickers across their faces as the silence thickened with every passing second. Jack brought them tea, then stepped out, knowing this moment didn't belong to him. Ellie peeked through the hall but said nothing. Even she understood the gravity of what was unfolding. "I didn't know about you," Riley said first. "Not until a letter showed up and told me to look in the bottom of the box. Our mother kept so many secrets." "She did," Hannah agreed. "I didn't find out either until I was 17. I found a journal. One entry mentioned giving up a child when she was still a teen. I confronted her. She broke down, told me everything. I tried to find you, but the trail was impossible. Until recently." Riley searched Hannah's face for any signs of deception, but all she saw was the same sorrow she'd worn for months, a longing to fill something hollow. "So why now?" "Our mother passed away a few months ago," Hannah said. "Cancer. She never told me where you were, only that she hoped one day you'd forgive her. She said if I ever wanted to find you, to look for someone who wore their pain like armor. I didn't understand what that meant until I saw you sitting on that bench weeks ago." Riley's heart stuttered. "You saw me?" "Yes, but I wasn't sure. You were broken, haunted. I was afraid to intrude, so I waited. Then I saw you with Jack and the girl, and I realized maybe you didn't need a sister barging in with more questions. Maybe you needed healing first." Riley wiped at her eyes. "I thought I was alone for so long." "You weren't." That night, Riley and Hannah sat by the fire and exchanged stories. Fragments of lives lived parallel, both raised by the same woman but under different skies. Hannah had stayed. Riley had been given away, and yet both had grown up with echoes of abandonment, guilt, and unmet expectations. Over the following weeks, Hannah became a frequent visitor. Ellie adored her. Jack was cautious at first but warmed to her kindness and patience. Riley began smiling more, even laughing. She returned to therapy. She applied for part-time work at a veterans center. Slowly, she re-entered the world. Then, one morning, a call came that changed everything. Jack answered the phone and turned pale. "Riley," he said after hanging up. "It's your unit commander. They've requested your presence. They say it's about something you left behind." Riley frowned. "I didn't leave anything behind." She went anyway. The visit took place at a military administrative office 2 towns over. Riley arrived with Hannah, who refused to let her go alone. The officer behind the desk greeted her with a nod and slid a manila folder across the table. "We've completed a delayed investigation into a mission your unit conducted near the border region in 2021, he said. "New information has surfaced that exonerates you from the operational error you were blamed for." Riley's eyes widened. "You mean the botched intel drop?" "Yes, it was traced to a system glitch, not human error. You were cleared internally, but it was never officially communicated. We're rectifying that now." He handed her a letter, an official apology. "And this," he added, reaching beneath the desk, "was found among personal effects transferred during the shutdown of your last base. We believe it belongs to you." He placed a small wooden box on the table. Riley opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a necklace, a silver locket. She opened it. Inside was a photo of her mother and a baby. On the other side, a faded fingerprint pressed in ink, with the initials RS. Beneath the necklace was a letter. It was addressed to Riley. She unfolded it and read, "My sweet Riley, if this reaches you, it means the world found a way to return what I feared was lost. I gave you up so young, not because I didn't love you, but because I didn't know how to protect you. The world was cruel to me, and I thought giving you a different path would give you a better life. I carried your memory in every breath. I watched you from afar when I could. Your first day of school, your graduation. I never stopped. You were never alone. Not really. I hope one day you'll understand why I made the choices I did. And I pray, with all I have left, that you'll forgive me. Love always, Mom." Riley couldn't stop the tears. Not in the car. Not that night. Not the morning after. But somehow, this time, the tears didn't break her. They softened something inside. That weekend, Riley visited her mother's grave for the first time in years. She stood between Hannah and Jack, with Ellie holding her hand. She placed the locket on the grave. "I forgive you," she whispered, "and I miss you." Back home, something changed. Riley began organizing boxes in the attic. She found an old photo of Jack and Rachel and smiled. She placed it beside one of her and Hannah in the hallway. Jack watched her quietly. "You're building something here," he said one evening as they watched Ellie paint stars on the window. "So are you," she replied. A few months later, Riley founded a community group for women veterans battling PTSD. She named it Honor Reclaimed. Hannah joined as co-founder. Jack helped run logistics. Ellie helped with cookies and hand-painted welcome cards. On the 1-year anniversary of her stay, Riley hosted a dinner at Jack's house. Neighbors came, fellow veterans, friends. There was laughter, music, and peace. After everyone left, Jack stood in the doorway watching Riley clean up. "I never imagined my life would feel whole again," he said. Riley paused. "Neither did I, but here we are." And for the first time in years, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Not because the pain had vanished, but because she had walked through it and came out with something to give. A voice, a home, family, and maybe, just maybe, forgiveness. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to True Soul Stories. Your support helps us continue sharing powerful, healing stories about love, redemption, and the quiet courage to begin again. Leave a comment below. Have you ever found healing in an unexpected place? Until next time, be kind to yourself and to others, because you never know who's fighting a battle they're too brave to speak about.